G'day everyone, Duckville here. Welcome to a replay that was actually sent in to me by one of these players. This is going to be from the Korean server, and now despite what you can see there with the names, as we can see in the red is the Protoss, on the top right hand side of Shakuris we have Sprinter, but I can tell you this is actually IMSeed from the Incredible Miracle team. If you actually, I know a few of you did get to see a recent replay I put up of IMSeed against a player by the name of Bubble Price. I had to take that one down because Seed messaged me and actually said that he wasn't actually a big fan of the way he played that particular game. Obviously, that game didn't go too well for him, and he sort of said to me that he kind of didn't want to look bad in front of people watching the game, so I did have to take that one down. I am sorry about that. If you wanted to see it and you wanted to see it again, something like that, I am sorry about that, but take that one down. Got to respect the players, of course, but in the great fairness that is the Korean players, they're always very good, very well mannered, but Seed has actually sent me this one, which is him against a blue Zerg down here by the name of Slayer's Yu-Gi-Oh! So Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course, a player who has been featured in the GSL a couple of times, I believe in Code A, and maybe a couple of times in GSTL as well, the Team League. So he's definitely, these guys, very high caliber players here, and we'll hopefully see a fantastic game out of these guys because as we all know, it's always good to see a Protoss versus Zerg. I think it's probably one of the better matchups in terms of the excitement that you can have through the game. So we'll find out what happens here today. We've got Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually going for that quick hatch there, taking that pretty swiftly there, and is actually doing a very cute little tactic. Just got a drone patrolling on the bottom of the ramp there. You're probably thinking, what is he doing that for? Well, you still sometimes do see, from time to time, you'll see players do that, the pylon, the triple pylon block, and then put a cannon down behind it, and then a Zerg is actually stuck on one base for a little while. And then, as I understand, I'm not 100% sure, of course, but I'm not a Zerg player, but I understand that can actually just put a Zerg so far behind it's not even worth playing at all. So do have to be careful of that sort of thing. Of course, a lot of players actually like to put an Overlord over this position just to make sure you can see exactly what is happening. In fact, Yu-Gi-Oh! Being very, very vigilant here, just making sure he's checking all of the corners of this natural expansion to make sure that there are no pylons there that could catch him astray. But looks as if we've got Seed actually getting a quick Zealot out, chronoing that one up, and he's going to send this one across. In fact, he's going to get a second one coming through as well. We've got this Cybernetics core just finishing up now, and we'll probably see what exact tech he's going to go for at the moment. You will notice that he's actually currently sitting on just the one base without the Forge Fast Expand, which is a very, very common sort of play on this map, but it doesn't look as if he's going to go for that particular tactic just at the moment. He's just going to get out a couple of Zealots and just see what he can find on the map. Now, obviously, we've got an Overlord to spot these sorts of things coming through, but it's sort of a little bit out of position by now. As we can see on the map there, it's just a little bit too far to actually see these Zealots coming through, but we've got the two Zealots there. We've got one that has already made it to the front door of Yu-Gi-Oh! He's going to go knocking on that door and see if he can find out if it is a house made of straw or if it is made of bricks. And just for the moment, it looks as if it is going to be made of sticks, I would say. We've got a Spine Crawler just coming up. It's not going to be up in time to stop this Zealot just for now, but there is that second one just coming along as well. Looks as if these Lings are going to have a little bit of trouble taking out these two Zealots. Of course, you can generally take out around about 4 Lings in general with one Zealot, but it looks as if he's just going to try and run through into the base, into the main. It looks as if he's forced a lot of Lings here. As we can see, there are around about, how many is that? That's like 8 or 9 Lings out already, and that is a whole heap for Yu-Gi-Oh! To have already spent. And it look at that fantastic micro, putting down a lot of those Lings in the process there. We got blood splatters all over the place, and a few of these Lings are even pretty low themselves. So this has actually put Seed in a decent spot. I wouldn't say he's actually going to win the game from this position, but it's put him at a little bit different of a position than he would normally be. Now, of course, you can see that he has actually gone for a one gate expand. He's taken that Nexus there after that 1 gate pressure with the chrono on those Zealots, and then of course we can see that there are a couple of extra gates just coming along now as well. We can see the 2 sentries are up as well. They're going to be able to take care of these Lings because they are already softened up by that early Zealot attack. Not to mention there was a Stalker. Here it is, Stalker's just in the mineral line at the main, just taking out this Overlord, so it can't get too much scouting done. Of course, there isn't really too much tech going on because of the fact that that Seed is actually expanded down to the natural, and as we can see, he's actually just going to Maynard some of these probes across, getting them mining and getting them probably just a little bit earlier than they should have been, but either way, he's going to have them ready to rumble, and these gateways now being done are going to provide a Seed with the ability to actually possibly put out another early attack here, but we'll see what happens. And just for the moment, we'll just check out what Yu-Gi-Oh is up to. He's getting that lair up and running. We're getting +1 to the melee attacks. I would say he's going to look perhaps... sort of hard to say just right now. He is getting the 3rd and 4th gas. I would not be surprised if we get some Mutalis, or perhaps something along the lines of that that Infestor Ling play, which we do see from time to time, where the players will go for a few infestors, grab a few infestors and chuck a whole heap of infested Terrans across, and then just Stormlings in the front while the Protoss is trying to deal with the infested Terrans that are inside the base. So we'll see what happens here. These Lings, meanwhile, look at that, they don't actually have speed yet. In fact, Yu-Gi-Oh hasn't even started speed. There you go, okay, as I say it, he's going to prove me wrong. He has now started speed, but does have these. He's got 2 Spore Crawlers up and ready to go, just in case any sorts of Void Ray or Phoenix pressure comes from Seed. But as we can see, Seed is not actually going for, not actually dictating his tech just yet, getting out a few pylons to make sure he's aware of what is happening in the base. Of course, if you're a Protoss, it's always good to have a pylon just sort of near the corners of your base, because you don't want any sorts of Nidus play getting in, especially on this map, because it can be a lot of trouble to make sure you're covered. But it looks as if he's going to go for that Twilight Council. We could see perhaps some blink attacks, but I wouldn't think so given how low the Stalker count is at the moment. But it looks as if he's actually, that was a pylon there, he could actually be going for a very, very quick 3rd base. Got a pylon down, probably going to look to put that Nexus down as well. Does indeed. Very, very interesting stuff here from Seed. So what we're going to see from him is a very quick 3rd base here, and he can actually see that there are a lot of Lings on the way. I think one of the reasons perhaps that Seed is going for this very quick 3rd expansion is that he can see that his opponent still, this far into the game, we're up to almost the 10-minute mark, still does not have Zergling speed, which means he has a lot lower map control, given that his Lings are going to be a lot slower than they should be. But it looks as if Seed's going to be prepared for that kind of attack. We do have a Templar Archives on the way, so he is going to be going for the Templar very, very quickly there. We've got one Overlord that's going to try and come through in the natural expansion. We've got a whole heap of probes mining here. Sees that he is actually doing a nice job with his natural expansion there. These Sentries and Stalkers want to get into that base so hard, but they're not going to be able to. Looks as if the Overlord is going to see the tech that's coming through here from Seed. Sees the Chrono going down on that on the Twilight Council. Probably going to know that that's Blink, because that's generally what you really want to get at this stage of the game against the Zerg, and can see that the Chrono is also going down on the Templar Archives and the Forge. So we're going to have a lot of upgrades coming in, which means that the actual units from Seed are going to be a little bit lower than they possibly could have been at this normal sort of stage. Unfortunately for Yu-Gi-Oh, he's actually doing, yeah, it is, it's that Infestor Ling attack, and it looks as if he's going to try and build up some energy here, make sure he's got enough to hurl over some of those infested Terrans. It's like watching one of those, what's that thing called at the Olympics, a shot put, where you've got the infestors just standing here, and they're going to heave those infested Terran eggs over the wall and see if they can cause some damage. But it looks as if he may come in for that attack quite soon. Not really sure how well this is going to work, because there are a few Templar up and running. They're going to have Storm in just a moment here. They may be able to defend simply with that, unless they get a few good feedbacks off, and they may be able to just blast apart those infestors right now. But here come the Lings. He's actually getting prepared for that attack. The Templar are sitting at the front, ready to drop down those feedbacks. In fact, a little bit surprised they're not up the top here, but here come the infested Terrans, dropping in a force field there, actually blocking out that attack from the Lings. Beautifully done there by C, putting down a Storm on top of the eggs. That takes out that attack very, very swiftly there. So great defense there. Obviously saw that coming with the intel that he had gathered. Can see that that Yu-Gi-Oh is actually on the 3rd base, has a 4th getting up quite soon, and he did use the fake Phoenix to float around and actually spot what was happening here. and now we can see, we'll just have a quick look at what the view of Yu-Gi-Oh is. Does not know that this third base is here, so he's going to be quite shocked once he sees that our Protoss player Seed has actually got a whole heap of units, a lot more than he normally would have. Although, speaking of which, we're only seeing Seed start to kick up the gateway count now. He's currently sitting on a total of 5. He's got a 6th on the way, plus the extra 2 down here at this it's sort of in a way a ninja third base, because Yu-Gi-Oh has no idea and obviously does not know that someone would take it this quick. In fact, Seed is actually going to go for a 4th base this quick. This is absolutely crazy play here from Seed. He knows that he does have good map presence, given that he does have these Templar, which can provide him with a way of dealing with the infestors with a feedback. Chuck a feedback down, and these guys are absolutely useless. And then he can also put down a few storms to take care of that massive amount of lings that was floating around. So we can see that Yu-Gi-Oh has decided to switch into Roach Tech. He's going to use Infestor Roach, perhaps do a drop or 2. Maybe he can actually get a surprise attack going on Seed, and perhaps we'll see that coming through soon. The Overlords do have their drop, as we just saw. There was, where is it? There it is. We've got one Overlord that's just coming through. Where is that guy going? Alright, cool. He's going over to the... I see. He's going to try and drop into perhaps the natural expansion. Interestingly, he's actually going to spot the 4th base and the 3rd base on his way through if he is on the ball and watching what he's doing. But it looks as if we're going to have... Okay, it's an attempted multi-prong attack here from Yu-Gi-Oh! He's going to drop in some roaches, some lings that are inside these Overlords here, trying to do some damage inside the mineral line of the main. And in fact, here come those Overlords morphing in a few Zealots and a Stalker to try and get rid of those Overlords, but the Overlords are not going to do too well. Neither of the lings that are dropping out of them, they have been absolutely defeated with ease there by Seed. So great job just picking up that attack was coming in. We've got 2 Stargates on the way, plus the Dark Shrine is just about to morph in here. And in fact, here comes that Overlord that was just trying to sneak by. Does see that the 4th base is there, going to maybe drop in this Infestor just on top of this base and perhaps do some damage once some extra probes arrive. But in fact, there's another attack here from Yu-Gi-Oh! He's actually going to drop in a whole bunch of Infested Terrans. These guys do a huge amount of DPS there. They are taking down that Assimilator pretty quickly. Would love to see a bit more usage to put them on top of the mineral line, taking out some of those probes, but it looks as if the Zealots are actually just going to clean up the rest of these. We've got some more Infested Terrans pumping in here from Yu-Gi-Oh! In fact, a whole heap of those Infested Terrans. We need a storm, and there it is. Alright, so he is going to clean that up right now, but it looks as if he is going to be done with that attack for now. It looks as if that Infestor did come along and put down some damage on top of these probes. They haven't actually been hurt too much. Perhaps a couple did die in the process, but there wasn't too much damage done by either of these attacks for Yu-Gi-Oh! In fact, he's sitting at a good supply cap at the moment there. He's just on 183. May look to do another drop here. We've actually got some Banelings inside this attack coming through, and the cannon is going to spot, but it's not going to be quick enough. Dropping in on top of those probes, taking out the probes there. Nicely done by Yu-Gi-Oh! There, and in fact, we still do have a couple of Infested Terrans just hanging out here at the mineral line on this space there, and they're going to be able to stop any sorts of attacks coming in. And where is this Overlord going? We've got a second Overlord with some Banelings in it just sneaking by. He's going to try and get into the natural expansion, and if he can, he'll be doing a great amount of damage there. And a second attack now coming through as well from Yu-Gi-Oh! He's going to drop in some roaches at the front door of this third, while that Overlord is about to head inside the natural expansion. And here it comes. Seed on the ball though, dropping the Banelings in, but they're not going to get too much done. The probes are going to escape for the time being, taking out a couple of them, but it's not really enough to justify the attack for the moment. But as we can see, the death ball from Seed is actually starting up now. He's got a Colossus. We'll probably see a couple more come along as well. We've got some Stalkers, we've got the Templar, and we also have a whole heap of attacks here coming in from Yu-Gi-Oh! Trying to do as much as he can, knowing that the Protoss army can't be everywhere at once. He's just trying to do a little bit of damage inside the main. If he can take out the odd pylon or gateway, that'll be really good for his position at the moment. But it looks as if this Void Ray count is going to be the death of Seed if he's not careful. And it looks as if we actually did have, I'm sorry, we may have missed a DT drop, but I'm not actually sure. But a Warp Prism actually trying to get through into the base of Yu-Gi-Oh! And let's just have a look at exactly what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is up to. We got a whole heap of roaches that are patrolling around here for some reason. Not really sure what they're after, but they're just dancing around at the moment. Maybe they're on some drugs. That's pretty crazy, Zerg on drugs. But don't give them a stim pack. But we've got this fourth base running nicely here. The third still sitting quite pretty as well. Natural starting to run low, and the main is just about done. But that's some pretty decent mineral management there from Yu-Gi-Oh! He's got a whole heap of hatcheries as well. We've got 2 in the main. We've got the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and also a couple here as well. And in fact, he is going to switch into Ultralisk Tech, and we've got a whole big attack here from Yu-Gi-Oh! He's actually coming in with a whole heap of those Ultralisks. They've got their plus 2 to their melee damage, and of course the +3 to their armor as well. They do have, they're going to have some links coming along. I would really hope that some links would come along soon, because he's not going to be able to deal with this big ball of these stalkers, because they just do so much damage to those Ultralisks. When you have a whole heap of them like this, they got +2 to weapons, they got blink, they can stay out of trouble when those Ultralisks come along. So you just got to be really careful with how Yu-Gi-Oh! Approaches this army. Probably want to mix in some links if he can, but it looks as if he's actually going to try and just keep mixing in these drops. We've got another big drop coming in here. We've got a few Ultralisks there. We've got some Lings as well, which, as we mentioned, are going to provide a nice amount of damage. The Stalker's now blinking inside the main. They're going to be doing a lot of damage if they can. Not going to be a killing force here from Yu-Gi-Oh! But while he's doing this, he's actually attacking down at the third base. DTs are going to provide the defensive measures here against these Ultralisks, and just absolutely smashing through all of those Ultralisks there, deflecting that attack down there at the third. Meanwhile, back up at the main base, the Gateway was taken out. A couple pylons have been removed as well, but this Ultralisk is not going to go too far, and down he goes. So we're now still sitting at seed with a lovely 4 bases, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Sitting with 5, so he's still in a great position. But the economy of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still doing quite nicely. You just got to wonder if he's actually going to get some particular type of attack going that'll actually do a great amount of damage, because at the moment, once Yu-Gi-Oh! Is at a sort of 200 versus 200 situation, he is not going to win against this Protoss army. And in fact, speaking of not going to win, we have 3 carriers on the way from seed. In fact, there's a 4th in the queue there as well. They're going to do a great amount of damage against this Ultralisk Ling and perhaps a couple of Infestor army. But it looks as if a Storm's going to go down on top of the Lings, removing most of the Lings. However, there's a lot of Archons as well as those Void Rays up in the sky as well. He's going to be doing a heap of damage against the Ultralisk. Of course, the Ultralisk, unfortunately, despite how big they are, cannot actually hit the stuff in the sky. Looks as if Seed is going to defend this quite well. As we can see, Ultralisk doing a nice amount of damage there against the wall that Seed had set up, but it's not enough. And as we can see, we've the Infestors had to retreat for the time being. A little bit surprised that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not going for this base, but he finally is. Notices that this one is going up here. He's going to attack in here. Should be able to take out that pylon at a minimum, and perhaps even stop this Nexus from getting up and running. But the Stalkers are going to have to say something about that. A couple of Void Rays coming along for the party as well. These guys, keep in mind, have +1 to their Prismatic Beam, so they've got a nice little bonus to their upgrade here. Stalkers using the terrain very nicely. They're forming a choke point there between the Nexus and that Assimilator, and they are actually going to take out those Lings with quite actually a lot less damage compared to what they could have had. But meanwhile, looks as if we've got an attack into the main here by Yu-Gi-Oh! He sent in a whole heap of Lings. We actually had a few here at the natural as well, but it looks as if Seed has dealt with them. He's not actually caring about what's left in the main though. The carriers are going to do what they can about that. We've got 4 carriers out. A 5th one is building at the moment and is about to pop out, and it looks as if Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be cleaned up here. This attack not actually doing as much as he'd like to. However, a Mutalisk switch is now in play. We've actually got Mutas heading into this 4th base, cleaning up as much of those probes as he can. Probably did take out a few of them before they were evacuated, but it looks as if we've got that Stalker Void Ray force now coming in to try and defend against these Mutalisks here. We've got action all over the place. This Nexus should be saved, and it is. Those Mutalisks will have to fly away to fight another day. In fact, flying away to fight at this 5th base of Seed. In fact, there are so many Mutalisks out at the moment. We've actually got a total, let's just have a quick look, of 27 Mutalisks out on the map. We've got 35 Lings against the force of Seed, which includes a Mothership. We've got 5 carriers, a Warp Prism, 2 Templar. We've got the one lonely Archon flying around somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but and then a bunch of Stalkers and some Void Rays. But it looks as if the one carrier that was inside the base was not enough to deflect this heavy group of Mutalisks. And it looks as if a couple of Phoenix have now come out for Seed to try and deflect some of these Mutas. But it's never a good idea to try and fight back against Mutas with Phoenix when you are starting from behind on the Phoenix count. Even these Void Rays could be in a little bit of danger if they get a little bit too far out of place. In fact, this is getting a bit risky here for Seed. Some of these Void Rays breaking away from the pack, they're actually going to probably go down. I would not be surprised if these get absolutely destroyed in just a second. There we go, losing 2, perhaps going to lose his 3rd, and maybe, nope, the Mothership and the Stalkers come up to save the day. So he is going to be okay in the main base for the moment there. Muta's actually not doing too much, but did take out a few units, which was pretty key. But looks as if Yu-Gi-Oh! Has taken this 12 o'clock base here, doing a nice job getting that one up and running. He's got a hatchery here that's not actually doing a single thing here at this this 6th base, but he has got that prepared, which is the main thing. Of course, be a Boy Scout and be prepared. That's all you need to know. This Nexus sitting on a dangerous amount of health there, just sitting on 157 HP, but it looks as if the attack is now pushing through here from Seed at the top side of the map. The Mothership trying to have something to say about these Mutalisks, in fact, taking out a couple of them along with those carriers and the Void Rays. Void Rays up the top, meanwhile, getting a little bit out of place. Corruptors falling inside that Vortex. He's actually going to lose perhaps this base, perhaps even both of those hatcheries along with the forces on the ground. Infestors coming along, they're going to try and do what they can, perhaps put down some fungals on top of these carriers to reveal them, because now that the Corruptors are out, he should be able to deal with those quite easily. In fact, he's just going to go straight for that Mothership, just taking that out with ease with that Corruption skill, providing those Corruptors with a 20% extra damage on that Mothership. But it looks as if the carriers are still going to be able to clean up the rest of these Corruptors. Some Void Rays coming in from the side as well, and we still have a whole heap of these units sitting here for Seed. He's got an Archon, we've got that was that lonely Archon, we've got a few Stalkers as well, and now these units actually sitting in a very scary spot. In fact, the Fungal going down, and that is a huge Fungal here from Yu-Gi-Oh! He's still got energy to burn on all of these units. What he's got to do is just be careful with sending in all of these Infestors that are going down left, right, and center. You don't want to lose too many of those. He is going to take out some of these units of Seed, though. Looks as if the Void Rays and perhaps a Carrier or 2. No, that's a Void Ray behind there. Carrier is actually sitting there at 32 health, no shields. But GG there from Yu-Gi-Oh! He's just actually lost too many drones. I think he was sitting very low in the drone count there. 54 drones at that point. He'd actually spent so much on these various drops and the attacks at the 3rd base, and even this 4th or 5th as well. So it just looks as if Yu-Gi-Oh! Just sort of ran out of steam there once he started losing those drones and losing this particular base, which had a lot of units, a lot of drones mining at it, along with the 12 o'clock base as well. So great play there from Seed to bring out the carriers and bring them on the field for once, so we can have some fun seeing them, and just love to see that style of play. So make sure you tweet. What's his tweet? It's IM_Seed, I believe. I'll double check and put it in an annotation. But make sure you tweet to Seed and say thank you for that rep, because that was very cool to watch. And hopefully we'll see some more from him and some more from the Pro Korean guys very soon. Cheers.